Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ever feel like your brain could use a little tune-up, like you're kind of stuck in a mental rut and want to, shift gears into a higher level of thinking?
Hmm, I know that feeling.
Well, get ready, because today we're diving deep into 12 everyday habits that can actually, make you smarter.
Smarter, huh?
We're taking inspiration from a TopThink video, really caught our attention, packed with fascinating research, actionable tips, the whole shebang.
Oh, I think I saw that one.
Yeah, what's really intriguing is this whole idea that intelligence isn't some fixed trait you're born with, right?
Yeah,
It's more like a muscle you can train and develop over time.
yeah, and even Einstein, who we think of as like, the genius, wasn't always recognized for his brilliance.
That's right. It's not just about boosting your IQ score either.
Oh, no.
It's about, cultivating a more agile mind, a more adaptable mind, one that can just tackle those complex problems, think critically, and maybe even unlock some hidden creative potential.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So, are you ready to embark on this journey to sharpen those cognitive skills?
Absolutely. Let's kick things off with a habit that might surprise you. Meditation. Now, I've always been a bit skeptical about meditation, I mean, how can simply sitting still actually make you smarter? But the research is pretty compelling. This TopThink video highlights studies showing that consistent meditators, they score up to 20% higher on IQ tests.
Wow, that's significant.
That's a pretty big jump, right?
Yeah, and what's really fascinating is that it's not just about emptying your mind.
Right.
Meditation actually strengthens specific cognitive processes,
Yeah.
like attention control, working memory. It's like a mental workout for your focus and concentration.
So it's not about zoning out. It's about training your brain to be more present and engaged. Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal.
And another benefit is stress reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Because chronic stress, it can actually impair cognitive function.
Mm-hmm.
So by reducing stress through meditation, you're creating a more optimal environment for your brain to thrive.
It makes sense. Less stress, better focus, potential IQ boost. I'm definitely intrigued by this whole meditation thing now.
Great. Now let's switch gears to a completely different approach.
Mm-hmm.
This is the high exposure method.
Okay.
This is a strategy. Warren Buffett is a big fan of this. Essentially, you immerse yourself in high quality information, constantly feeding your brain new ideas, perspectives, the whole 9 yards.
So instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media,
Yeah.
I should be devouring books, listening to thought-provoking podcasts, engaging in stimulating conversations.
Exactly. Think of it like this. You wouldn't fuel your body with junk food all day, right?
Oh.
Same principle applies to your mind. By curating a high-quality information diet, you're providing your brain with the nutrients it needs to grow and thrive.
I love that analogy. So it's about being mindful of what we're consuming, both physically and mentally. Now, this next habit might seem like a bit of a curveball, but it plays a crucial role in shaping our intelligence exercise.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get that heart rate up.
We know it's good for our physical health, but how does it actually benefit our brains?
Well, physical activity, particularly cardio and strength training, stimulates the production of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor.
BDNF?
It acts like a fertilizer for your brain, promotes the growth of new neurons, strengthens existing connections.
Wow. So hitting the gym isn't just about sculpting our physiques. We're literally rewiring our brains for greater capacity.
Precisely. And it's not just about creating new neurons either. Exercise also enhances neuroplasticity. That's the brain's ability to adapt and rewire itself based on experiences.
Mm-hmm.
For example, during intense physical activity, your brain might prune away weak or unused synaptic connections and strengthen those that are essential for the task at hand.
So it's like a mental spring cleaning. Get rid of the clutter, make space for new connections and pathways. Fascinating. Okay, let's move on to a habit that might sound a little rebellious. Question everything.
Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah, so this is about cultivating healthy skepticism, challenging assumptions, In today's world where there's just so much information, it's more important than ever to develop those critical thinking skills, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And not just accept everything we read or hear at face value.
It's easy to fall into that trap, especially when it comes from sources we perceive as authoritative, right?
Right. So we need to dig deeper, examine the evidence, consider alternative perspectives.
Exactly. Ask yourself, where is this information coming from? What biases might be at play? Is there another side to the story?
That's a really powerful habit to cultivate. It's about being like an active participant in the learning process, not just a passive recipient of information. Now, speaking of learning, let's talk about a principle championed by Einstein himself, the explanation principle.
Oh, he was full of good ones.
The gist of this principle is that if you can't explain a concept simply, you probably don't fully understand it yourself.
I've been there.
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of rattling off facts and figures without truly grasping their underlying meaning, you know?
Yeah, it's a common trap. But the beauty of this principle is that it encourages us to go beyond surface level understanding and really grapple with concepts until we can articulate them, clearly and concisely.
So instead of just memorizing information, we need to process it, synthesize it, make it our own.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to solidify your understanding of a concept is to try teaching it to someone else.
Oh, that's a great tip. I'm going to make a conscious effort to explain new concepts to, friends, family, maybe even my pet goldfish. Who knows? They might learn something too.
Excellent. Now let's shift our focus to the company we keep, which plays a surprisingly significant role in shaping our intelligence. This next habit emphasizes the importance of surrounding yourself with intelligent company.
I've always believed that the people we spend time with have a huge impact on our lives, but how does this relate to our intelligence specifically?
Well, our brains are wired for social learning. We have these fascinating cells called mirror neurons.
Mirror neurons, yeah.
They fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing that same action. It's like our brains are subconsciously mimicking the behaviors and thought patterns of those around us.
So if we're constantly surrounded by people who are intellectually curious, engaged in stimulating conversations, pursuing knowledge, our brains are more likely to adopt those same patterns.
Precisely. It's like a mental osmosis. The more we expose ourselves to intelligent company, the more our own minds are stimulated and challenged to grow.
Makes perfect sense. So it's not just about who we follow on social media. It's about actively seeking out real-life connections with people who inspire us intellectually.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready to delve into the next set of habits. What have we got?
Okay, so these next two habits focus on getting those thoughts out of your head onto something tangible. First one is reflective writing.
Now, before anyone panics, this doesn't mean you need to start churning out novels.
No.
Even short bursts of writing can be incredibly beneficial, right?
Right.
I've always found journaling to be helpful for processing my thoughts and emotions, but I haven't been as consistent as I'd like to be. How does writing, even in small doses, actually boost our cognitive abilities?
So reflective writing, whether it's, journaling, note-taking, or even just jotting down worries, it forces us to slow down, externalize our thoughts. This process of translating, abstract ideas into concrete words helps us untangle complex issues, identify patterns, gain clarity.
It's like taking a mental snapshot and then examining it from different angles. Okay, I can see how that would lead to deeper insights, a better understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Exactly. And it's not just about analyzing our thoughts. Writing can also be a powerful tool for generating new ideas. By getting those thoughts out of our heads and onto paper, we free up mental space for creative exploration.
That's a great point. I'm definitely going to make a more conscious effort to incorporate reflective writing into my daily routine. Now, let's talk about a habit that I think we can all relate to, distractions. Those pesky distractions. We live in a world filled with them, and it can be so challenging to stay focused. But this next habit reframes distractions in a rather intriguing way. Upgraded distraction.
Oh, I like that.
So we all have those moments of downtime, right? Commuting, waiting in line, or just needing a break from work. Instead of defaulting to mindless scrolling or passively consuming entertainment, what if we could upgrade those distractions to something that nourishes our minds?
Exactly. So instead of, binge watching reality TV, we could listen to an educational podcast, read a few pages of a thought-provoking book.
Right.
The key is to be intentional with those moments of downtime and choose activities that stimulate your brain rather than simply numbing it.
It's like turning those idle moments into mini mental workouts. I love that. Okay, I'm ready for the next brain-boosting habit.
Okay, this one might get you grooving. Musical brain.
Yeah.
It turns out that, listening to and playing music can have a profound impact on cognitive function.
Oh, I've always loved music, but I had no idea it was so beneficial for the brain. What's going on up there when we're jamming out to our favorite tunes?
It's like a full-blown neurological party. Listening to music activates multiple areas of the brain simultaneously.
Wow.
From the auditory cortex, which processes sound,
Yeah.
to the hippocampus, which is involved in memory, to the amygdala, which processes emotions.
Wow. So music is a multi-sensory experience
Yeah.
that engages a wide range of cognitive functions.
Mm.
Okay, I'm starting to see why it's so
Yeah.
powerful. But what about actually playing an instrument?
Playing an instrument takes it to another level. It requires, fine motor skills, coordination, timing,
Yeah.
and deep understanding of musical theory. It's like a full body workout for your brain, strengthening neural connections, enhancing cognitive flexibility.
So whether we're listening to music, singing along, or picking up an instrument, music can be a powerful tool for sharpening our minds and expanding our cognitive abilities. I'm feeling inspired to dust off my old guitar.
Excellent. Now let's dive into a habit that can be incredibly beneficial even in small doses. Bite-sized reading.
I love reading, but I often struggle to find the time for it with my busy schedule.
Yeah, I hear that.
You're saying that even just 2 pages a day can make a difference.
You might be surprised.
I'm intrigued but skeptical. How can such a small amount of reading have a significant impact on our brains?
So, MRI scans have actually shown that even short bursts of reading can lead to physical changes in the brain, increasing connectivity, enhancing cognitive function. Reading engages our imagination, expands our vocabulary, exposes us to new ideas and perspectives.
So even if it's just like a few pages before bed or during my lunch break, those little snippets of reading can add up over time and have a cumulative effect on my cognitive abilities.
Exactly. It's like building a mental muscle gradually through consistent exercise. And the beauty of bite-sized reading is that it's incredibly accessible.
That's true. I can always find a few minutes here and there to squeeze in a couple of pages.
Okay.
I'm going to challenge myself to make this a daily habit. Now, let's talk about a habit that's incredibly relevant in our, tech-saturated world.
Yeah.
Device detox.
We're all a little addicted, right?
We live in a world where we're constantly bombarded with notifications, updates, distractions from our devices. While technology can be incredibly useful, excessive screen time can have a detrimental effect on our cognitive function,
Absolutely.
particularly our attention spans and memory. I know I'm guilty of spending way too much time staring at screens. It's become such a habit, and I often feel like I'm losing control of my own attention. So how do we actually detox from our devices without, feeling like we're completely disconnecting from the world?
Yeah, it's not about becoming a Luddite and shunning all technology. It's about, finding a healthier balance and reclaiming control over our time and attention.
Yeah.
Start by setting realistic goals. You don't have to go cold turkey. Maybe designate certain times a day or areas of your home as device-free zones.
I like that, Ida.
Yeah, no phones at the dinner table or in the bedroom an hour before bedtime.
Yeah.
It's about creating those digital boundaries and giving our brains a break from the constant stimulation.
Okay, I'm ready to embrace the device detox challenge. What's our final brain-boosting habit for today?
This one's all about unleashing our creative potential. Imagination time. We often think of intelligence as being, all about logic, facts, linear thinking, but imagination plays a crucial role in fostering, innovation, problem solving, adaptability.
I love that. It's about tapping into that childlike sense of wonder and allowing ourselves to explore, unconventional ideas and possibilities.
Exactly. And it's not just about daydreaming. It's about, actively engaging in activities that spark our imaginations.
Right.
This could involve anything from brainstorming new ideas to engaging in creative writing to simply taking a walk in nature and allowing your mind to wander.
So it's about giving ourselves permission to play, to explore, to think outside the box. I'm excited to carve out some time for imagination and see where it leads.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today, from meditation to upgraded distractions to imagination time. It's been a fascinating exploration. There are many ways we can sharpen our minds and unlock our cognitive potential. It's been a pleasure exploring these habits with you.
Absolutely. Now, I'm curious, out of all the habits we've discussed, which one resonates most with you? Which one are you most excited to explore further?
That's a tough one. Yeah, it's been a fascinating discussion so far, and it's truly inspiring to think about the potential we all have to sharpen our minds.
I completely agree. I'm already feeling more energized and motivated to put some of these habits into practice?
That's fantastic to hear. And remember, it's not about trying to implement all 12 habits at once.
Right. Right. That would probably be overwhelming. So where should we start? What are some practical tips for actually incorporating these habits into our daily lives?
Well, let's start with meditation. The beauty of this habit is that you can start small. Even just 5 minutes a day can make a difference.
Okay, that sounds manageable, but for someone like me, who's never really meditated before, where do I even begin?
There are tons of resources available online, like, guided meditation apps or YouTube videos. Find one that resonates with you and just start. Consistency is key.
So it's more about finding a style of meditation that works for me and sticking with it rather than like aiming for some kind of perfect state of Zen.
Exactly. It's about finding what feels good for you and gradually incorporating it into your routine.
That makes sense. Now, what about the high exposure method? Any tips for flooding our brains with awesome information without getting like completely overwhelmed?
It's all about being intentional with your information consumption. Start by, curating your sources carefully. Follow thought leaders and publications that align with your interests and ditch those that don't serve you.
So it's kind of like a mental spring cleaning.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the junk food and stocking up on brain-boosting nutrients.
Precisely. Yeah. And remember, it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. Seek out information that challenges your assumptions, expands your perspectives, and deepens your understanding of the world.
Great advice. Now, when it comes to exercise, we all know it's good for us, but how do we make it a consistent habit, especially if we're not gym rats?
Well, start small. And find activities you genuinely enjoy. It could be a brisk walk in nature, a dance class, or even just taking the stairs instead of the elevator. The key is to make movement a part of your daily routine rather than viewing it as a chore.
I love that. It's about finding those little ways to like sneak in some movement throughout the day. And speaking of sneaking things in, how can we incorporate the habit of questioning everything into our daily lives? It's not like we can go around interrogating everyone we meet.
It's more about cultivating a curious mindset. When you encounter new information, don't just passively absorb it. Ask yourself, where did this information come from? Is there another perspective to consider? What evidence supports or refutes this claim?
So it's about becoming a critical thinker, not a cynic. It's about, digging deeper and seeking a more nuanced understanding of the world around us. Now, I'm really curious about Einstein's explanation principle. Do you have any practical tips for putting this into practice?
Yeah, find opportunities to teach or explain concepts to others. This could be as simple as discussing a news article with a friend or explaining a new skill you've learned to a family member. You could even start a blog or create social media posts that break down complex topics in a simple and engaging way.
I love that. So by sharing our knowledge, we're not only helping others learn, but we're also solidifying our own understanding. It's a win-win. Now let's talk about intelligent company. We can't exactly handpick our colleagues or classmates. So how do we make sure we're surrounding ourselves with those brainy buddies?
It's about being proactive in seeking out those connections. Join clubs or organizations related to your interests. Attend lectures, workshops, or conferences where you can meet like-minded individuals. And don't be afraid to strike up conversations with people who seem interesting. You never know where those connections might lead.
So step out of your comfort zone and be open to new connections. You never know who might become your next mental sparring partner. Now let's move on to reflective writing. Any tips for getting started with this habit, especially if we're not natural-born writers?
Yeah, don't overthink it. Start by simply jotting down your thoughts and feelings for a few minutes each day. There's no need to worry about grammar or a structure. Just let your thoughts flow freely onto the page.
So it's more about the process of getting those thoughts out of our heads than about creating a literary masterpiece.
Right. Yeah.
I like that. Now, what about upgraded distractions? Any specific examples of how we can turn those mindless moments into opportunities for growth?
Instead of defaulting to social media or mindless TV, create a list of brain-boosting activities you can turn to instead. This could include, listening to educational podcasts, watching documentaries, reading articles on topics that fascinate you, or even playing brain training games.
So it's about having a mental toolbox of engaging activities we can turn to whenever those moments of downtime arise. And speaking of engaging activities, let's talk about music. We know playing an instrument is great for the brain, but what if we're not musically inclined?
You don't have to be a virtuoso to reap the benefits. Even just listening to music can have a positive impact on cognitive function. Explore different genres, pay attention to the melodies and rhythms, and allow yourself to get lost in the music.
So whether we're creating music or simply appreciating it, music can be a powerful tool for enhancing our mental agility. Now let's talk about bite-sized reading. We know even 2 pages a day can make a difference. But any tips for making this a consistent habit?
Keep a book handy at all times. That way, whenever you have a few spare minutes, you can easily squeeze in those 2 pages. You could read while commuting, waiting in line, or even just before bed.
So it's about making reading a seamless part of our daily routine. And speaking of routines, how do we incorporate those much needed device detoxes into our increasingly, tech-driven lives?
Start by setting realistic goals.
Yeah.
You don't have to go cold turkey. Try designating certain times or areas of your home as device-free zones. For example, no phones at the dinner table or in the bedroom an hour before bedtime.
So it's about creating those digital boundaries and reclaiming our time and attention. And finally, let's talk about imagination time. How do we carve out space for daydreaming and creative thinking in our busy schedules?
Schedule it in, just like you would any other important appointment.
Yeah.
Block off, 15, 20 minutes in your calendar for pure unstructured imagination time. Let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. Don't censor yourself or judge your ideas.
So it's about giving ourselves permission to play, to explore, and tap into our inner child, and who knows what brilliant ideas might emerge from those playful moments of imagination.
That's the beauty of it. It's about cultivating those habits that allow our minds to flourish.
Exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
So which of these brain-boosting habits are you most excited to explore? It really is amazing to think that we have so much power to shape our own intelligence.
Absolutely. And the more we learn about the brain, the more we realize just how malleable and adaptable it truly is.
It's like we've been given this incredible gift, this capacity for growth and transformation.
Yeah.
And it's up to us to make the most of it, right?
And these 12 habits are like tools that we can use to sculpt our minds and unlock our full cognitive potential.
I love that analogy. It's not about being a passive recipient of information. It's about actively engaging with our minds and shaping them into the instruments we want them to be.
Exactly. And it's it's a lifelong journey. There's always more to learn, more to explore, and more to discover about ourselves and the world around us.
Now, I know some listeners might be feeling a bit overwhelmed by all of these habits. It can be, daunting to think about changing our routines and adopting new practices.
Yeah, I understand. And it's important to remember that you don't have to do everything at once. Start with 1 or 2 habits that resonate with you and gradually incorporate others as you feel ready.
That's great advice. It's about progress, not perfection.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's about, finding what works best for you and your unique lifestyle.
Exactly. There's no, one size fits all approach. So experiment, have fun, and be patient with yourself.
And remember, even small changes can have a big impact over time. The key is consistency. So if you commit to incorporating even just one of these habits into your daily life, you'll be amazed by the results.
Absolutely. And as you start to see those results, you'll be even more motivated to continue on your journey of cognitive growth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this question. What one habit will you commit to trying today?
Remember, the journey of intelligence is a lifelong adventure, and the more you cultivate these habits, the more exciting that adventure becomes.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of brain boosting habits. We hope you've learned some valuable insights and feel inspired to put some of these practices into action.
It's been a pleasure sharing this journey with you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the fascinating world of knowledge and self-improvement.